I thought all Canadians were supposed to be nice, great people, but I was so wrong.
Mike,
Hi.
there are three reasons why people buy our phones. Do you know what they are?
Email.
They fucking work!
So this past Friday, I watched BlackBerry and I really liked it. BlackBerry is all about sort of the rise and the fall of the iPhone company, or the phone company, I should say, not iPhone company, BlackBerry. And personally, I found the story really fascinating just because it happened mostly before I was born. You know, I was born in 2005, and a lot of this movie takes place in the mid-90s, and then some of it happens just after I was born, and I find all these stories interesting because they're happening either right before I was alive or while I was really young, just like, this was happening when I existed, you know, and personally, I'm just really into that idea, if that makes any sense. This movie is sort of split into three different phases. It's a little episodic with how they do that, but the phases are the invention of the BlackBerry and the start of the company. Then you have this middle phase, which is more so focusing on just how BlackBerry is successful, but they're just trying to get more successful, and they're almost pushing it to this brink, you know? And the final part is when the iPhone is announced, and that how that had this huge, tumultuously awful effect on the BlackBerry phone company. And in these three parts, it focuses on three main characters. Mike, played by Jay Baruchel, who's actually the same guy that plays Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon, and it is noticeable in his voice, and I just remember watching the movie and being like, wait, is this Hiccup? Like, this has to be Hiccup. He sounds just like Hiccup. And it kept throwing me off. The one thing that was like kind of taking me out of the movie was the fact that he was Hiccup, but like I didn't know for sure. So right after the movie, I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, this guy's Hiccup. Like, that's so funny. You have Jim, played by Glenn Howerton, and then you have Doug, who's actually played by the director, Matt Johnson. With this movie, you're gonna hear people be very mixed on one main aspect, and that is how it's shot. So what's unique about the way BlackBerry is shot is it's shot pretty much handheld the entire movie. It feels a lot like The Office to some people, and that throws them off just because The Office is a lot more of a comedy, and this is a very dramatic film. But personally, it also reminded me a lot of Succession, and I love and adore Succession. So I didn't mind the way that this movie was shot, literally whatsoever. I was fine with it, and I thought it was very fitting, as most of it takes place in offices, and you need to shoot a movie that mostly takes place in a relatively boring setting in a pretty exciting way to give it life and give it personality. And I thought that the way that this was shot was almost necessary for the movie to just give it more life. You know, it's a little off-putting because most movies are not shot and made in this sort of way, but I do think it really works for this movie, and this movie probably wouldn't have been as effective, for me at least, if it was shot differently. The one thing about this movie is that it's very angry. It just feels like a really angry, stressful movie. And if you're not looking for a movie to just make you feel really stressed out, if you don't want to watch that type of movie, go and watch like Fool's Paradise or something. You know, don't go and watch this movie. Also, they had a needle drop for one of my favorite songs, Someday, just kind of in the middle of this movie, and it came up and I was like, wait, there's no way. And it just like, it went on for a little while. You know, and they didn't have, it's not like that this was a movie filled with songs. Like, it was Someday, and I think there were two other songs that they prominently used, and I was just like, oh my God, like, the Strokes made an appearance. I've never seen the Strokes in a movie before, and that made me really happy. I'm sure most of you guys watching don't know who the Strokes are, but it was a really cool moment for me personally. And with that being said, I know this was a pretty short review, but I'm going to be giving BlackBerry 4 stars. But what about you guys? Have you seen BlackBerry yet? Do you plan on seeing BlackBerry? I want to hear all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, feel free to like and subscribe, and